Hey howdy friends, this is Frightman and this is part 1 of my yard haunt build. There will be other parts coming in the future, but in part 1 I just want to kind of start beginning to show you what the layout's going to look like. So this is all of my animatronics and how I plan to have them laid out in the yard. So this is the left side of the yard. I'm trying to organize them in a way that makes sense where certain characters go together with others. This will be to the middle of the yard. What I'm excited about is that there are going to be 2 werewolves over here greeting the folks at the corner. And then the right side of this will be where you can get your candy in the middle of the driveway here, as well as you will be able to walk through the arches and there will be a little scene in the garage. So stay tuned. Let me show you what I did on day 1. So my first step was trying to get the yard de-beautified. So I do have a lot of plants and pot plants, etc. in the yard. I have been letting the grass grow over so that it would kind of look a mess. So I started off by taking all of my plants and moving them to either the backyard or off to the side so that I can just take some of that beauty process out of the front of the yard. I do like my plants, so I'm kind of careful about them and putting them in a way that I can still keep them alive. Luckily for me, Scott comes to the rescue because I have a lot on the agenda today, and Scott is coming to help me today. So we have a Kight Dullhan here, kind of halfway together, halfway not. We moved him from the backyard, took him apart a little bit. We're dragging him out here to prepare him for the yard. There is also the Leviating Reaper that has been in the backyard since I did the video on putting him together. He's just been kind of hanging out in the backyard. We need to move him out to the front. That process was a little bit hard, but we basically just kind of leaned him over, and the objective here was to take the Reaper off of his pole and then be able to move the pole to the front yard and then move the Reaper to the front yard and then reassemble it back. But the objective was not to have to take the whole thing apart. We didn't. We were able to take the Reaper off of this pole, carefully maneuvering him through the door, or the pole through the door. We got that pole to the front yard and we started to set it up. So once we got him moved to the front yard, you already saw from the layout earlier that I had a place that he was going to go. I'm keeping him close to the house just in case I decide that I do need to secure him from wind damage. I'm afraid that if the winds start to kick up too much, I may have to secure him to the house to keep that support pole from cracking in half. Either that or I'll have to put some guidelines down to keep him from being broken by the wind. So I haven't quite got to that part yet, but right now we're just going ahead and putting him into the place that I had decided he's going to go. And we have a light assembly to put back together. His sit did have to come off, his body did have to come off, but we're going to go ahead and put all of that back together and get this guy elevated. So we did that. I like the way that he looked, stood back, took a few steps, had to move him over a little bit, get him just positioned just perfectly. And when I found that position perfectly, it was time to go ahead and get him secured into the ground. So once I did decide that this was the perfect place for him, it was time to finish some minor touches on his costuming and wiring. He was ready to go up and be secured into the ground. So we're going to go ahead and elevate him back up into his position. And then the next step is going to be securing him to the ground using tent stakes. Now, if you saw the assembly video, you know what I mean about securing him down to the ground in tent stakes. These tent stakes can be purchased from Amazon. And let me go ahead and show you what that looks like with the tent stakes secured to the ground. And then I use zip ties to go ahead and go to the base of the actual prop. Now this is the Kight Dullhan base, and then this is going to be the base for the floating Reaper. Again, you can see that there are zip ties that are securing him over to these tent stakes. So he's pretty good in the ground, but he does have the possibility to have the wind knock him left and right. So I'm probably going to either put secure wires down, or again, like I said, just attach him to the house to keep that from blowing around left and right. I made that final look and I said, yep, I'm happy. I think he's going to be perfect just right here. Then I wanted to go ahead and fence off the yard. I use a piece of rebar knocked into the ground. Then I take a piece of PVC, cut that down to go over, put a T on it. I bought this plastic chain on Amazon, and then I spray painted it with silver paint. It goes all across the yard. It's kind of meant to deterrent to keep the kids from going in the yard. The pumpkin stack went up. It was attached to the house to a light that I already had attached to the under eaves. And then I laid out extension cords all over the yard. These are my favorite type of cords. I probably have 20 outlets in the yard, so when I need to plug something in, there is an outlet close by. Here's kind of a final walkthrough of what that looks like. You can see the chain goes all around the yard. There is that Reaper. Dullhan's over in his position. This plant I'm not going to move. It's kind of delicate, and with the dark lights at night, it really doesn't look much like a plant. It kind of turns into weed looking, actually. Now I'm leaving the area open in front of the big windows here. There's going to be a projection happening there. Now as you come up the driveway, you can see this curtain and it has a split in it. This is something I found on Temu. I think it's going to be really perfect to put somebody behind here and just have them kind of peeking out through that split. And as somebody comes, if they're brave enough, they're actually going to be able to walk through the archway and see an extra scene in the garage. I'm not going to give away totally what that scene looks like, but I'll give you a quick peek of what is to come. The gargoyles will not be inside of this scene, and there will be a low-lying fog machine behind this sheet, which is why it's open at the bottom, or I should say the backdrop. So kind of running through a little test here just to see what the lighting is going to look like and how this is going to look with somebody kind of peeking through this. I threw a mask onto Scott and some gloves and said, hey, give me a little trial run. I just want to kind of see what it looks like. And I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out for day one. So let me know if you enjoyed this video and if you think I should continue with part 2, 3, and 4, etc. And if you don't think that I should be doing that, let me know that as well. I don't want to continue to try to follow along with my yard haunt if it is not interesting. But I am very happy with how this test is turning out. I think it's going to be awesome. I'll try to get some night shots for you as I get a little bit more done and walk through the process. So please give the video a like if you did like it, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see the rest of the parts of this haunt build out. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to get all of the props out in the yard.
Until next time, stay spooky, my friends!